spend this time of year in retrospection, reevaluating the choices that we've made. And we kind of look at the new year as a fresh start. It's a new beginning. Time for us to reboot ourselves. So it's a perfect time of year to look back in 2019 and think about the choices that we made and think about the changes that we need to make for 2020. And usually those changes happen in the form of resolutions. We resolve that we want to lose weight or get healthier. So goodbye junk food, hello healthy food. We want to be more productive. So goodbye television time, hello family time or whatever. But this is probably the perfect time of year for us to do something even more valuable. That is for us to take a spiritual inventory of ourselves. Christians ought to be constantly reevaluating their choices and thinking about changes that need to be made, not just on a yearly basis, but on a daily basis or even an hourly basis. And so really the Christian life is a reboot. Jesus calls it a rebirth in John 3. Paul calls it a recreation in Ephesians 2. And in Ephesians 4, he talks about the process. It's a process of taking off and putting on. It's like taking off an old coat and putting on a new coat, a better coat. But it's taking off the old man of sinful habits and putting on the new man created in the image of God. And so Paul gets into some very specifics in the chapter. He talks about, God's a God of truth, so we want to be a people of truth. So we need to take off lying and put on truth and honesty. We need to speak those things to others. And we need to take off, God's a God of mercy and grace. So we need to take off anger and malice and instead put on things like kindness and forgiveness. We need to take off things like stealing. Steal no longer, but instead we need to work and we need to be active in giving and sharing. We need to take off corrupt words out of our lives, cussing, saying God's name in vain, gossiping, saying filthy jokes around the guys at work or whatever. And we need to put on words that edify. Words that point others to God and impart grace to those who hear us. And so how are we doing in those specific areas? But the idea of taking off and putting on is so much more than just those specific areas, but it's every sin, every sinful struggle that we have in our lives. And so look at verse 23. That's only going to happen when we change what we think. When we change what we think, we can change what we do. But that's only going to happen when we spend time in God's Word. What do you have to take off in your life? Likely, you have sin. You have sinful habits that you need to take off. But you're only going to know those sinful habits when you look into the mirror of God's Word, you see the ugly, and you realize your need to remove them. And what do you have to put on? Equally likely, you have characteristics that you need to put on in your life. But you're only going to know that when you spend time in God's Word and you see those characteristics and you see your need to put them on. And so let's redirect our energy and our time that we're spending in sin, and let's redirect our lives to godliness, which is profitable in every area of our life. So this new year, let's take a spiritual inventory. Let's think about things we need to take off and think about things we need to put on in our lives. Let's make real change.